Hemaka's question. Hemaka was the next to speak. Before Gautama began to teach, he said, all teachings I had heard had only said, this is how things used to be, and this is how they are going to be. Everything was based on tradition and hearsay, which just increased my doubts. So please now, Wisdom Master, explain to me the way you teach to put an end to craving. Explain to me the way you teach, which when a mindful living person knows it, releases his hold on the world. And the Buddha said, the removal of desire and passion for pleasant things, seen, heard or cognized, is the sure path for the realization of Nibbana. Understanding this, those who are mindful have attained this tranquility of complete Nibbana in this immediate life. They are calm forever. They have crossed the attachment in this world. So here the paragraph 3 is important. The removal of desire and passion for pleasant things is the sure path for the realization of Nibbana. All the things that we love, we have to let go. Today's questions. The Brahmin student Todaya spoke next. What, sir, is the nature of freedom? He questioned the master. When one has no more desire for pleasure, goes beyond doubt and lives without craving. And the Buddha said, a person who has no desires, who has gone beyond doubt, and who lives without craving, has indeed found the final freedom. For him there is nothing more to be freed. All-seeing Sakyan said to Todaya, please explain one other thing to me. I want to know how to recognize a wise man when I see him. Does the wise man still have any desires, or is he completely wishless? Does he still need to learn, or is his wisdom complete? And the Buddha said, a wise man, Todaya, does not have desires, nor does he need to learn. He is wishless, he has wisdom, and you can recognize him because he is a man of nothing. He is not hanging on to pleasure or to being. So, to recognize a wise man, to see, he is not attached to anything. Kappa's question. Next was the Brahmin student, Kappa. Sir, he said, there are people stuck midstream in the terror and the fear of the rush of the river of being, and death and aging overwhelm them. For their sake, sir, tell me where to find an island. Tell me where there is solid ground beyond the reach of all this pain. Kappa, said the master, for the sake of those people stuck in the middle of the river of being, overwhelmed by death and aging, I will tell you where to find solid ground. There is an island which you cannot go beyond. It is a place of nothingness, a place of non-possession and of non-attachment. It is the total end of death and aging, and this is why I call it Nibbana. There are people who, in mindfulness, have realized this and are completely cool here and now. They do not become slaves working for Mara, for death. They cannot fall into his power. You see this, the Buddha calls this Nibbana, the island. There is a book called The Island by Ajahn Pasano. This is a copy in our library about Nibbana. So it is a place of non-possession and non-attachment in paragraph 3. You completely let go of everything, including yourself. Jatukani's question. Then the Brahmin student Jatukani spoke. I had heard, he said, that there was an ocean crosser, a hero, desiring the desireless. And so I have come to ask the question of this man without desire. Tell me this, eye of instant seeing and knowing. What is the state of peace? Please explain it to me as it really is. And the Buddha said, no. And he continued, you, Master, rule desire and pleasure like the sun, with heat and light, rules and controls the earth. Have only a little understanding, sir, and you are a globe full of wisdom. Tell me how to find and know the way of giving up this world of births and agings. And the Buddha replied, lose the greed for pleasure. See how letting go of the world is peacefulness. There is nothing that you need to hold on to, and there is nothing that you need to push away. Dry up the remains of your past and have nothing for your future. If you do not cling to the present, then you can go from place to place in peace. There is a greed that fixes on the individual body and mind. When that greed has completely gone, then Brahmin, there will be no more asavas, without which you are immune from death. You see paragraph 3. Nothing that we need to hold on to and nothing to push away. Dry up the remains of the past and have no ambitions about the future, and do not cling to the present also. Bhadravuda's questions. The student Brahmin Bhadravuda spoke next. I have come, he said, to ask a question. Thirst breaker, wishless, free and wise, beyond time and home, life and pleasure, please, ocean crosser, for all the different people here who have come from different places to listen to your words, tell us about the way that you have found and known. And the Buddha said, there is, in taking things, a thirst, a clinging, a grasping. You must lose it. You must lose it altogether, above, below, around and within. It makes no difference what it is you are grasping at. When a man grasps, Mara stands beside him. Therefore, the monks, realizing this, should not grasp at anything, being mindful. He should see the beings that are creatures of attachment as tied to the power of death. So this last paragraph, should not grasp at anything and be mindful. Udaya's questions. Then the Brahmin student Udaya spoke. Gone beyond in every way, he said, the ultimate in everything. When he sits in meditation, there is no poison to infect him, no dust speck to impede him. He has done what has to be done. Can you tell me about the knowledge that frees? Can you tell me how to remove ignorance? And the Buddha said, the removal of both desire for sensuous pleasure and grief, the rejection of laziness and the restraint of worry, said the Buddha. The purity of perfect balanced mindfulness built on the basis of seeing the way things are. This is liberation knowledge, and this is the destruction of ignorance. And Udaya asked, what binds and ties down the world? What causes the wandering? What is it that you abandon in order to find Nibbana? And the Buddha said, that which ties you down is the desire for pleasure. The wandering is thinking, and the way to Nibbana is to abandon the thirst of desire. I have come with these questions, said Udaya, and I hope you will answer one more. How does the mindful wanderer bring his mind flow to an end? And the Buddha replied, the sensations that he feels from the inside have no more fascination for him, and the sensations that he feels from the outside no longer fascinate. The wanderer is mindful and brings his mind flow to an end. Look at this paragraph 2. Removal of desire for sensuous pleasures. When we have desire for sensuous pleasures, then craving increases. But if we can't get it, then grief, we will have grief. So these are the two things. When we have desire, either we have greater greed, or if we can't get it, then we grieve. And then this paragraph 7, feelings. He is no more fascinated with feelings, no more attached to feelings, whether it is from the outside senses or inside. He is no more attached to feelings. Then only the mind can stop flowing. Posala's questions. Then the student Posala got up to speak. In everything, he said to the master, you have reached perfection. There is not a movement of desire, nor a remnant of doubt left in you. And so I have come to you, who can explain what has happened in the past, to ask this question. I want to ask you, man of Sakya, about knowledge. If a man is no longer confined to seeing forms, if he has discarded the materialist world, and he sees that there is neither inner nor outer substance to things. Is there then anything more for him to know? To the Tathagata, the thus gone one, replied the Buddha, all the aspects and stages of mind are clear. And so when a person who has set his sights on freedom reaches his goal, the Tathagata knows what stage he has reached. When he has realized that the binding power of pleasure is rooted in nothingness, then he has come to a clear understanding of this process. This knowledge, he, the completely accomplished Brahmana, has achieved completely. Mogaraja's questions. The next to speak was the Brahmin student, Mogaraja. Man of Sakya, he said, I have asked about this twice before without receiving an answer from the wisdom eye. But I have heard that if a wisdom god is asked a third time, then he will give an answer. I do not know, famous Gotama, what attitude you take towards this world and towards the other world, the world of Brahma and the gods. So, because of your insight into excellence, I have come to ask you about this. What is the best way for a person to regard the world, so that the king of death won't see him? And the Buddha said, if you are always mindful or recollected, Mogaraja, you will look at the world and see its emptiness. If you give up the view of a self, then you will have given yourself a way to go beyond death. Look at the world like this, and the king of death will not see you. This last part is important. If you are always mindful or recollected, then you will see the emptiness in the world. And you have to give up the view of a self. Pingya's questions. Then the Brahmin, Pingya, spoke. This one is an old man. I am old and decaying. My body is weak and my skin is pale. I can hardly see and I only hear with difficulty. Don't let me die while I am still in confusion, but teach me about the way things are, so that I shall know how to leave birth and aging behind me. Look, replied the Buddha, look how many people are tormented by pain. Look how careless they are and how greatly they suffer because of body and forms. If you do not want to go on and on becoming Pingya, you must let go of the body and of forms. In all the 10 directions, said Pingya, above, below, and in every quarter of the compass, there is not a thing that you have not heard, seen, known, or understood. Teach me about the way things are, so that I shall know how to leave birth and aging behind me. Can you see, replied the Buddha, how people are oppressed by desire? Can you see how they are wrecked and worn by aging? If you do not want to go on and on becoming Pingya, you must let go of craving. So for this old man, the Buddha only tells him one thing, let go of craving. Then the epilogue. This one epilogue also, we're not sure whether it's original or not. This is what the master said when the 16 Brahmins came to the rock temple in Magadha to ask him their questions. If you know what each question means, see what each question implies, and live in accordance with the way things are, then you will go beyond. You will cross the ocean of death and aging and reach the other shore. These things lead to that other shore. That is why this teaching is called Parayana, the way to the beyond. There were 16 of them who came to see the Buddha that time. There was Ajita, Tissa, Metiya, Punaka, Metagu, Dotaka, Upasiva, Nanda and Hemaka, Todeya, Kappa and Jatukani the scholar, Bhadravuda, Udaya, Posala, Mogaraja the learned, and the great Pingya the wise. These were the men who came to see the Buddha, the man of perfect conduct. They came to the Buddha to put their complex questions to this paragon of understanding. The Buddha answered the questions with the exactness of truth, just as things are. The Brahmins were pleased to hear the words of this wise man, and so, filled with pleasure by the clear-sighted vision of this kinsman of the sun, they settled down to a life of purity and goodness, spent in the shelter of the precious wisdom of the Buddha. Anyone whose life accords with what the Buddha taught in these answers goes across the ocean, from here to the beyond, from this shore to the other. This is crossing the ocean. This is traveling on the highest path. It is a path that leads to that other shore. That is why it is called Parayana, the way to the beyond. Pingya's praises of the way to the beyond. Remember, Pingya is an old man. I will sing you the praises of the way to beyond, said Pingya, when he returned to where the Brahmin Bavari lives on the banks of the river Godavari. It was described to us by this man exactly as he saw it. But then, there isn't any reason why a man like him should lie, a mammoth of knowledge and completely pure, a man without desire. When a voice has none of the glibness of pride and none of the ingrained stains of ignorance, then its words are full of sweetness and beauty. It is such words that I praise now. They call him Buddha, enlightened, awake, dissolving darkness with total vision and knowing the world to its ends. He has gone beyond all the states of being and of becoming. He has no asavas. He is the total elimination of suffering. This man, Brahmin Bavari, is the man I follow. Stop here for a moment. So now he switched his teacher. Now Buddha is his teacher. Buddha is the man he follows. It is like a bird that leaves the bushes of the scrubland and flies to the fruit trees of the forest. I too have left the bleary half-light of opinions. Like a swan, I have reached a great lake. Up till now, before I heard Gautama's teaching, people had always told me this. This is how it has always been, and this is how it will always be. Only the constant refrain of tradition, a breeding ground for speculation. This prince, this beam of light, Gautama, was the only one who dissolved the darkness. This man, Gautama, is a universe of wisdom and a world of understanding. A teacher whose Dhamma is the way things are, instant, immediate, and visible all around, eroding desire without harmful side effects, with nothing else quite like it anywhere in the world. But Pingya, said Bavari, why then don't you spend all your time, your every moment with this man Gautama, this universe of wisdom, this world of understanding? This teacher whose Dhamma is the way things are, instant, immediate, and visible all around, eroding desire without harmful side effects, and with nothing else quite like it anywhere in the world. Brahmin sir, said Pingya, there is no moment for me, however small, that is spent away from Gautama, from this universe of wisdom, this world of understanding, this teacher whose teaching is the way things are, instant, immediate, and visible all around, eroding desire without harmful side effects, with nothing else quite like it anywhere in the world. You see, sir, said Pingya, with constant and careful vigilance, it is possible for me to see him with my mind as clearly as with my eyes, in night as well as day. And since I spend my nights revering him, there is not, to my mind, a single moment spent away from him. Stop here for a moment. Here it seems like he says he has the divine eye. He can see the Buddha with his divine eye. I cannot now move away from the teaching of Gautama. The powers of confidence and joy, of intellect and awareness hold me there. Whichever way this universe of wisdom goes, it draws me with it. Physically, I cannot move like that. My body is decaying. I am old and weak. But the driving power of purposeful thought propels me with it without break. There was a time when, writhing in the mud of swamps, I could only drift from one stone to the next. But then I saw the Sambuddha, fully awake and free from defilement. Then the Buddha spoke. Pingya, he said, other people have freed themselves by the power of faith. Vakali, Bhadravuda, and Alavi Gautama have all done this. You too should let that strength release you. You too will go to the further shore, beyond the draw of death. These words, said Pingya, are the words of a man of wisdom. As I hear them, I become more confident. This man is Sambuddha. He has opened the curtains and woken up. There is nothing barren there. His mind is clear and luminous. Everything accessible to knowledge is known to him, even the ultimate subtleties of Godhood. There are no more questions for the doubtful who come to him. The teacher has answered them all. Yes, I shall go there. I shall go to the unchangeable. I shall go to the unshakable. I shall go to the incomparable. There are no more doubts. You may consider this as mind released. So this last part, he's saying his mind is released, he has attained arahanthood. Old man like him also can. You can see there's a lot of Dhamma in this last chapter. But Dhamma that is not easy to practice, letting go all the things that you attach to, all the things that you love, all the things that you value in the world, including your very self. And to discuss. So tonight we have finished the Sutta Nipata. Tomorrow we won't be having any talk tomorrow night because we are doing the liver cleanse. Saturday maybe we start on the Dhammapada. Microphone. Page what?
128, Buddha's question.
One what?
128.
Okay.
Verse 6. How does the mind who wanders is mindful to an end? This mindful is asava?
Which paragraph?
Verse 6.
Verse 6. How does the mindful wanderer bring his mind flow to an end? This mind flow, you can see, is asavas. So you notice these feelings. You must not be moved by feelings. In the dependent origination, the 12 links of dependent origination of suffering, we can only break the chain at feelings. The others are quite automatic, but feelings, if we don't allow craving to arise, then only we can break the chain. Otherwise, we cannot break it elsewhere. But not to allow craving to arise, you got to have a strong mind. You need a samadhi, and you also need a very good understanding of the Dhamma. These two things are most important on the spiritual path. A strong mind from samadhi and understanding the Dhamma, the original suttas.
And we feel that there are people who have that goal of views, expectations, thoughts, or religious practices, and all the different forms. Can you hear that there is of all the different forms?
This must be all the different forms of religious practice.
So when we begin to samadhi, when we are entering to want to progress, we have to have samadhi. But on the other hand, if we cling on to a certain view probably by our attachment in past life or whatsoever, it is very difficult for us to let go of certain practice that we have this idea that we want to practice all through the way to be
Bodhisattva.
And at the same time, we want to liberate ourselves. So if we cannot let go of this view, the
Yes. A lot of people, they have all these views about being the bodhisattva and all that. But in the original teachings of the Buddha only taught us to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. That is the most important. After we practice the Noble Eightfold Path and then attain, then only you can decide whether you want to be a bodhisattva or not. In other words, whether you want to teach or not. A lot of people, they make the aspiration to be a Buddha, to help everybody in the world. But they don't know that according to the suttas, 99.99% of all Buddhas are Pacceka Buddhas who refuse to teach. Because the Buddha said he looked into the past. He spent probably the whole night looking 12 hours into the past, and he looked for 91 world cycles and saw only 6 Sammasambuddhas who were willing to teach the Dhamma to the world. On the other hand, in the Majjhima Nikaya, Isigili Sutta, the Buddha said at one time, on the outskirts of Rajagaha, on this Isigili hill, there were 500 Pacceka Buddhas living at one time. So you can find many Pacceka Buddhas, but out of so many Pacceka Buddhas, to find one who is willing to teach is extremely rare. So what's the point of making all this aspiration to become a Buddha? In the end, you don't want to teach. On the other hand, we find that the Arahants during the Buddha's time, they are the ones who act like Bodhisattvas, going around teaching the Dhamma and spreading the Dhamma throughout the world. So we should not start with preconceived ideas. Those they become stumbling blocks for us. You have not even seen the way. How can you have preconceived ideas? You want to be this and you want to be that. The way is like this and the way is like that. So we have to follow exactly the Buddha's words in the suttas and practice. And then slowly, as the delusion in us is lessened, as the 5 hindrances cover us, become less and less, then we see more and more clearly. In the suttas, there's one sutta where the Buddha was arguing with a young Brahmin student who was a student of a famous Brahmin. What's his name? I forgot the Brahmin's, the teacher's name. But the Buddha told the young Brahmin, he said, your teacher is covered by the 5 hindrances. In other words, he has not attained any jhana. So how can he know and see things as they really are? So it's very clear from here that if we have not attained jhana and got rid of the 5 hindrances, we cannot know and see things as they really are. And we make things worse by having views, by having preset opinions. So we should start with no preconceived notions and just practice a spiritual path, and slowly as we learn, then we understand more. It's just like some people starting on the spiritual path, they already have preconceived ideas about the Creator. You don't know anything about the Creator. How can you have preconceived ideas about the Creator?
Let's say if you have these preconceived ideas, you don't have to be a bodhisattva. You learn whatever you can from Buddhism. And then you can start teaching people. So we cannot not only go progress, we teach people wrong things really.
Yes, exactly. That's why we read in one of the Digha Nikaya Sutta, there are 3 types of teachers who are not qualified to teach. And 2 of them, I think, are teachers who have not really attained anything. Basically, attainment in the Buddha's words, suttas, refer to Uttari Manusa Dhamma. Uttari Manusa, higher than the human state. Dhammas, that means superhuman or supernormal attainments. And these supernormal attainments, there are a few of them. One is the jhanas. Secondly, the psychic powers. Thirdly, the various stages of Aryahood. So if a person has not attained these three, any one of these three things, to teach is risky. You might be teaching something which is not according to the Buddha's Dhamma.
Okay. Back to Udaya question, page 128. Paragraph 3. To see the way things are, we need balance the mindfulness. In the five power, we know that we need to balance between faith and wisdom and energy and concentration, but not balancing mindfulness. So my question is, do we need to balance mindfulness, and if so, how?
Which paragraph?
Paragraph B. The purity of perfect balanced mindfulness.
Balance mindfulness, yes, you have to balance with the other things. Like even effort, too much effort also is wrong. Like just now we saw this DVD on the secrets of sleep. If a person strives too hard and does not sleep enough, then he gets hallucinations. Strives too hard, also you get a pain in the head. So you have to know to balance your mindfulness with effort and faith and all the other factors of the these five faculties. Did I answer your question?
I heard one saying that mindfulness is not the balanced, but more the better.
Say again. More.
Some books say that mindfulness is special among the five powers because it is karmically wholesome, and the more you have, the better you can become.
Yes, but you must just know what state you are at. For example, the Buddha says in the Vinaya books that his monks should take the rest in the night without a lapse of mindfulness. In other words, don't fall asleep. But can you do it? So if you have not reached that state, you must know yourself. You haven't reached that state, you put too much effort, then you go wrong. Right? So you must know how to walk the middle path. The Buddha said himself, when he struggled too hard, he was worried about. He practiced all the austerities and he nearly died. 6 years wasted because he was too eager for enlightenment. So you got to know yourself, you got to know your ability. Like that old man, Pingya, he also attained enlightenment. But I'm sure the way he struggled was not like Moggallana. Moggallana, whole night he didn't sleep. 7 days became enlightened. Yeah. So you must understand your body. You must understand yourself. There's one sutta about practicing satipatthana. The Buddha said, gave the simile of the cook. The cook who cooks for the king. If he's a smart cook, he has to notice what taste the king likes. Whether the king likes more chili, or more salt, or more sweetness, or more sour, and all that. So he cooks to the king's taste, and then the king is very happy. Maybe give him a bonus and all that. But if he does not notice the king's taste, and then he cooks, always the king don't like his cooking. The king will chow yao yi him, sack him. So the Buddha says, in the same way, when we practice, we have to know ourselves. What is it that is suitable for our mind? The object of meditation must suit you. The times of practice must suit you. The conditions, the food you eat must suit you. So when all the conditions are right, then your mind can easily calm down. If the conditions are not right, for example, you put too much effort when you are not ready for it. Our mind, I like to give the simile of somebody pumping iron. Like Arnold, what is his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a tough guy. Maybe he can lift 200 pounds. But if you are just new, just starting to pump iron, you try to lift 200 pounds, you get a muscle ache, isn't it? And then you have to stop pumping iron for 1 week. So in the same way, when our mind is not conditioned, you must not exert too much. Exert too much, you harm your brain. And I've seen some people, they harm their brain permanently. And they tell me they cannot meditate anymore because they were following the teacher's advice. And the teacher told them to press on. Even when you have pain in the head, be mindful, be mindful. So they practiced according to what the teacher said, and then they got jammed. Permanent pain in the brain, and they can't meditate anymore. So you have to use your wisdom. Okay? Do we end here?